Hello, my name is John Svek. Welcome to this All 24 video. Today, Coach Waterman and I are joined by a special guest. We have Coach Maxime Chaput Dupuy from Champlain. How you doing, Coach?
Good. How you guys doing?
Great. All right, Coach. So now we have some game film to go through. So if you can just direct me on the cursor here, and we'll kind of get right into it.
Good. We're looking at the boundary corner here. Okay, so one of the technique press we're using mostly out of a single receiver side. Okay, for us. So right now on that first clip, we're gonna look at I was talking about not opening your hips too fast and keeping leverage. So we're gonna look at our boundary corner here who off the line. Okay, will open his hips up a little bit too fast. And we'll get on top of the receiver too much, and then the receiver will be able to undercut him, right? So that's kind of something we don't want to see happening. So you can go through that. So see here right now, we opened our hips right away, right? We didn't have any kick steps or any inch steps, so we just straight up opened our hips. The release here we don't see from the wide, okay? But the release here is pretty much straightforward, right? If you look back, you basically have like a stab step or a jab step vertical right now, and now the receiver is basically just trying to release through our shoulder, right? So we don't want to be using that technique.
Just because in your first presentation, you did a great job kind of distinguishing. I'm wondering, is there a rule of thumb, or is it just a feel thing when that DB is trying to decide, is this, a vertical, he's right on the outside release versus a wide outside release?
Yeah, it becomes kind of a feel thing, right? So if we really see it, it's still, looking at his feet now, you're going to see his first step, right? His first step, he's going to step with that left, but he's kind of replacing himself, right? He kind of has a stab step vertical, and he's not actually kind of wide releasing right away, right? Well, to me, I would treat that as a through release, not a wide release, okay? If there's a wide release, his left foot right now would be going straight to the sideline and trying to get away from us, right? So that's kind of how we differentiate if we would want to have a rule towards that. So right now his hips are his hips are opened up. He gets the receiver to be inside, right? That's a bad situation. Now he's going to have a good finish, right? He plays through the hand and then the ball falls on the floor. Ajay was a true fighter for us. So he ends up limiting the gains, right? Obviously, and putting the ball on the floor. But right now he's in a bad position, right? If that ball's thrown outside shoulder, maybe a yard or a yard and a half farther, that's probably a catch, right? So it's just a good job by him keeping and fighting. But off that line, I would have liked him to be to kick on top, stay square, and use that close hand and force him towards the sideline.
Great look at. Would you agree? You're kind of out of phase drill coming into play here, Coach.
That's exactly it, right? So we're out of phase. We're able to play the hand. See, he's playing that hand with that right arm, the ball with that right arm. And the left arm is there to secure a tackle, right? So that's exactly what we want. Now, if the ball would have been on the other side, right, so kind of a back shoulder, well, then we would have played that ball with our left hand and secured tackle with the right hand. But in this case, he does a great job playing the ball at the end of the play.
That's great. Go on to the next play here.
Well, again, that's going to be the boundary corner here at the bottom of the screen. Same player as Eric. That's going to be a better job for me, okay? Again, see here, he's running through his shoulder. So see those quick kick steps early. So he's not opening his hips. The receiver is trying to run to his shoulder. Quick kick on top. Now he's staying on top of him, and he's able to really redirect that receiver. He's in a good position at the end. His close hand will be on the hip. His shoulder is underneath his shoulder, and his head will end up his eyes are at the hips right now. So that's a great position there. Okay. Now again, if you look at it early, he's not opening his hips quick, okay? He's really giving us kind of a kick step to the right. Boom. Now he's ready to open his hip because the receiver is committing. His right arm is on the chest. He's opening with the receiver. So that's textbook what I would look forward in terms of a rep there.
Great look at it. Absolutely.
Again, here, it's going to be mostly the same kid, right? So boundary corner again. Ajay right now. Now we're going to lose that rep early, okay? So just make sure we look at those inch step early on. So if you back it up just a little bit, you're going to see here the receiver doesn't give a clear indication. He's kind of vertical. So see here, Ajay will just take a little bit of depth, inching, staying vertical on top of the receiver. And now once the receiver declares, he's able to kick on top and open right away. Okay. Now, this to me is kind of a 2 release in 1. So if you look at it, you have a vertical release early, which Ajay is doing a great job of handling. And now once the receiver declares, he's going to declare wide. So right away, we're opening and we're ready to run, and his left hand is on that shoulder, right? So to me, that's a very good job, again, forcing the receiver outside. If the receiver right now after his vertical break or his vertical release would want to go inside on the slant, we're in a great position right now to break on top and secure that upfield shoulder, right? So again, to me, that's a great job by Ajay, playing proper technique that we're teaching here.
Coach, it's a little hard to see just from the film. You talked about taking that inside shade. How hard of an inside shade do you have, and does that ever change based on the receiver split?
Okay, so yeah, it will change on the receiver split, obviously. But we want to have I said it, but we want to have the outside of our shoulder right at the mid sternum. All right. So Ajay might be a little tight here in my liking, but I mean, if he's comfortable with that, I'll let him play. Right. I don't want to be too rigid in terms of shoulders. If he's more comfortable playing it that way, because he feel like he's able to get more physical and be there tighter on that on some of those deep throws, I'll let him play with that. But essentially, that would be a little bit too tight. Now, if we'd have the receiver really, let's say 5 yards from the tackle box, right on the boundary, would try to play that a little bit more head up on the boundary.
And Coach, just when you get those guys that want to skate the line a little bit, anything you tell your DBs as they're skating the line to sort of, do they adjust, or is it the same?
So we will adjust, as I said. So as he's skating down the line, we'll try to move more to a head up technique, right? So we don't want to be outside, because what's scaring me with that skate is mesh, right? He's running across, and then we're outside. We're in a bad position, right? But we'll still want to maybe move a little bit more towards a head-on technique. So if we kind of have some sort of a rub or a corner route with the back releasing and the inside, and we have a better leverage there.
Great.
And just along those same lines, just you brought up a thought when you talked about rubs, and do you talk about? I know it's a little bit maybe off track a little bit, but I'm curious when you talk about a 2 receiver set, and you're talking about that catch technique, and do you want them at different levels in case of the rubs? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah. So if we're talking about a regular set like we have right here at the bottom, right? So let's say a 4 receiver set. Yes, we'll have different, a little bit of a different depth in terms of the DBs that we're using, right? So again, we all start at 6 and we all want to come down around 4. Now, if the splits are wide like this, we'll play it at 4. But if the receivers come out tighter pre-snap, then we'll have one of the DBs backing up, depending on who it is, right? So if it's rover and striker, we'll have the inside guy back up a little bit and the striker play a little bit lower. If it's corner and striker, we'll have the striker play a little bit lower, so the strong half, and the corner playing on top. So just depending on which position it is, we'll have some different rules in terms of depth if the receivers come down close together. But if we have a regular split like we have here where the receivers are far, we'll just stick 4 yards off, right?
Perfect. So on the nest clip here, are we watching this ISO side again, Coach?
Again. So see, again, you have that first step from the receiver will be a little bit towards vertical. So see, he kind of has not a vertical, but he has a switch step, I would say, right? So he switches his right foot to his left foot on the line of scrimmage and then gives us a wide release. So off of that, Ajay does a good job. Off his first step, he's just going to kick. He stays on top of it. And then as soon as he gets that wide release, boom, he opens his hips up, bring that right arm on the shoulder, and see, he's able to maintain his proper relationship on top of him, with his near shoulder underneath the armpit and running with him and leading him on the sideline, right? So that's a great job again. By him.
Great clip, and seeing how that little bit of depth off the release really helps him out there.
For sure. It allows him to react and not be caught up too tight, right? And there's one thing that from me playing in university, and one thing that I personally had a hard time doing is trying to stick on the line and really be physical with those receivers. It's cool when you get it, but the second you miss, it's a hell of a different party, right? So
Absolutely.
That's kind of something that I don't want to be happening for our DBs, right? Especially we're playing a lot of press, I said, in the single receiver side, and oftentimes he's alone, right? So you don't want the kid to get beat 6 times in 6 different games just because of the technique he's using. So I think by doing that, it gives him a better feel to be confident in the technique.
Perfect. Here we go
And
again.
boundary corner. Yeah. Really similar thing. See again, kind of a switch feet release. He's vertical. Ajay is kicking, inching a little bit back. As soon as he gets that wide release, opens his hips, and he's in good position to run with him. See again how physical he is to downfield with the receiver. He has that close hand right on the shoulder because it became a wide release. So inch, close hand on the receiver. He's forcing him to the sideline, and now how physical he's going to get right after that. He's really going to lean on the receiver and be tight with him right about here. See how physical he gets at the end of the play. Now we end up getting a sack there, right? So we don't see the end of the play ravel. We'll see some of the ball plays right after, but I think that's a pretty good job off the line and away, and now he's physical with that receiver. So that's pretty good. I think that's the last release play. Yep, same side. Now, that one I don't like as much off the line. I think he's really physical. As you can see, he's running him out of bounds there, so that I can't really ask more of that afterwards, okay? That's a good job. But if you look at it off the line, his feet will be a little all over the place, okay? See, and he's opening a little bit too fast. He doesn't give us kind of that inch that he was giving us right before. He's just like a half an inside step, and now right away he's opening up, right? So I don't like as much the line play. But downfield, see, close hand on the pec, on the shoulder, he's running him out of bounds. I mean, that's going to be a tough ball to complete right there, right? So that's a good job by him again, downfield. Again, just off the line, off that switch release, I'd just like him to inch a little bit more instead of giving us that kind of that kick and open step that he's doing. I'd like him to inch a little bit.